What's up, my fellow LTD addicts? Let's talk about Essential Add-Ons for Elementor. Essential Add-Ons for Elementor is a toolkit for web designers to make more beautiful and more functional websites in less time. There's currently a lifetime deal running at AppSumo, and in this video, I'm going to highlight some of the best features of Essential Add-Ons and hopefully help you decide whether it's a good investment for your business or whether you should let it expire without having any FOMO. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Dave from ThatLTD.life, where I review software tools with lifetime offers. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notified when new reviews are posted. If you want to follow along with what I'm doing, the link is in the description below. Let's jump right into it. This is AppSumo's latest deal for Essential Add-Ons for Elementor. It is $39 for a single code. Let's see what you're going to get here. Let's just scroll right on down to the plans. $39 is going to give you all of the features, but you're going to be limited to 5 sites to work on. If you stack an additional code, so another $39, you're going to have access to unlimited websites. So a really great deal here, in my opinion, in terms of the price point and the features that are included. $78 for unlimited sites. If you're an agency, a web designer, that's really a steal. And if you're working on your own personal brand and maybe your own business site, 5 sites is going to be just plenty. So $39 there. But let's get right into it. Now, if you don't know what Elementor is, let me give you a quick overview. So Elementor is a page builder for WordPress. It's a lot like Squarespace or Wix. If you've ever used either of those tools, you're going to be right at home using Elementor. So you get these little widgets over here on the side. You drag them over to the canvas, and this one's a headline. If I let go here, I can add some headline text. I can either do it in the sidebar or I can do it right in the line on the page, which is really cool. And then, of course, I can add styling. I can go over to the Style tab and change the text color. I can change the font that I'm using in the typography section to be any of the fonts that I've installed into my WordPress website. I can change the size and all of the normal functionality that you would expect to see. You know, I can bold things, I can transform it to uppercase. You get the point. One of the cool parts about Elementor is that it's absolutely free. It's in the WordPress repository. It's one of the most popular plugins in all of WordPress with over 2 million active installations. You can go ahead and grab it, install it on your WordPress site, and start using it right away without paying a dime. Of course, they do have an upsell. There's a pro version of Elementor that will add extra functionality, and it's actually a really great investment. I highly recommend the Elementor package. This add-on pack that's available now through AppSumo is going to be a little bit overlapping with that pro version. However, not entirely. There's still enough inside of Elementor Pro that it's worthwhile. And quite frankly, we need to all support Elementor in order for these add-on packs to exist and for development of Elementor to continue. So if you're going to be using Elementor, I'd highly recommend investing in the Pro section. However, that's not what this video is about. Let's get back on track here. So we can see there's an entire list of elements. So these are going to be the things, if we just jump back over to my WordPress here, what an element is these little boxes, right? So they have different functionality. If I want to add an image, I would have to grab this type of box. If I wanted to add a video, there is a certain little element for that as well. Here's the video one. So with this add-on pack, you're going to get more of these little widgets that you can drag over, and each one has a specific functionality. So here is the list of all of the widgets that are included for $39. So we've got content elements. Some of these, I'll just kind of highlight my favorite ones as we go here. I really like this logo carousel. Now, I do digital marketing, and one of the things I put on almost every site I build is a logo carousel. The reason for that is it creates social proof. Now, it's whether you're demonstrating what clients you've worked with or what publications you've appeared on. When someone new visits your website, they're going to see logos that they know and hopefully trust, and that'll help them trust you too. So it's a really, really powerful way to provide social proof. Now, one of the problems with doing a logo carousel in the traditional manner is that logos are often different dimensions, right? There's tall ones, short ones, skinny ones, fat ones. The problem is that getting them all to line up can take a lot of effort here. So I like this idea of having a few preset styles that you can use and having everything be nice and in line without having to monkey around with, getting everything kind of manually lined up. So this looks like a really cool widget. Sure, Sure, if you're a master Elementor user and you're watching this video, you're probably rolling your eyes thinking, well, I could do that in 4 clicks, get everything lined up. Sure, well, this will hopefully do it in 2 clicks versus 4, so it'll just speed up things. That's kind of the point here, and I think that's a nice, thoughtful, practical use that people use these all the time, and you shouldn't have to be a coding expert to be able to get your images to line up properly. So some other ones that jumped out at me as being really cool is this protected content widget. Idea here is that you could have content that doesn't display to people who are not logged in or are not customers, or maybe you haven't opted into your website. You could define them as a particular user type or user role inside of WordPress. And then when they're not logged in, they might see a box like this that says you don't have permission to see the content, and then ask them to subscribe or purchase access. So that's really nice. The same widget here has the functionality to protect content with a password as well. So you could, here it actually gives us the password just to kind of demonstrate. I could enter the password, and then once I hit submit, then I can see that content be revealed. So that's really cool. You're also going to get dynamic content elements. Now, this is a really cool thing if you've already got blog posts or e-commerce products on your website. These dynamic content elements are going to make it easy for you to display your content in new and interesting ways without having to do elaborate coding or redesigns of your elements or your contents. So let's take a look at one that kind of stood out to me. I really like this Woo product collections idea here. So these are actually 3 different widgets, and each one is displaying a different category for WooCommerce. So we've just got like a headline at the top here, and then if I click on this, it's going to link up to all of the women's clothing articles that are on this demo site. Let's see some other ones here. They've got it sorted by product tag or even product attribute. So these are all the black clothes. Here's all the white clothes. Here's all the colorful clothes. If I click on colorful, I'll see all of the clothes that have many different colors inside of them. So really cool idea, a simple way to organize, say, your WooCommerce store or even your blog by topic or category, and make it more interesting for your visitors to discover more content on your website, stay on your content longer, and that'll help you both with your Google ratings and your overall conversion rate. So let's continue scrolling here. Of course, what add-on pack or what web design pack would be complete without some marketing content? So here's some marketing elements. We get pricing tables. These are nice and stylish, kind of standard fare for what you'd expect. I do like some of the design choices they have here, where you can kind of gray out certain items, add icons alongside. Here's some interesting kind of more modern looking flat pricing tables. There's little ribbons that you can add. And then this one has an image at the top. This design probably doesn't really resonate with me personally, but I'm sure it's right for someone out there. Okay, and then let's look at the creative elements. Now, some of these are really, really cool. I want to pull your attention to the one-page navigation. And what happens here is you've got a website that lives on one page, and I've got this little widget over on the side that will let me scroll to the different sections in the page. So this is super slick. This is all done using Elementor with these little widgets. So really handy. And let's go ahead and go down to the form stylers. Now, what this is all about is if you're using one of these form stylers already on your website, you'll be able to style the forms, make them look exactly as you want without having to add custom CSS code. Right? You can use Elementor's what you see is what you get editor to stylize the form and make it look really beautiful. So, a lot of people use Contact Form 7 because it's a free contact form, but it shows up really plainly. So here are some ways that they've modified Contact Form 7, changing the background colors, removing the titles, changing the colors of the buttons, stylizing the buttons to make it look really nice and modern. So that's pretty cool. And there's different plugins, or different elements, I should say, for many of the most common form providers. Gravity Forms obviously being a big one, Ninja Forms as well. So let's continue on. We get some social elements, so you can easily display your Twitter feed and your Instagram feed. Then we've got extensions, and extensions are a little bit different than elements. I'll show you where they are when we head back over to WordPress in a second, but let's see what they are. We've got Particles, Parallax, and Tooltips. So let's see what the particles are. This is going to be kind of like that animated background. You can use any SVG that you have to, say, add, here's a bubble effect, a kind of snow type of effect that's really cool. And let's go and check out some of the other ones. Here's a parallax effects. We've all seen parallax by now, where the background stays the same when you scroll. You're not really getting a whole ton of it here. This one image shows a little parallax for me. Oh, it's kind of like just started. Okay, so this one is interacting with my mouse. Sorry, I didn't get that right away. See what this one does. Nothing there. So I don't think this one has parallax on it. Let's see what the other one is here, advanced tooltips. So tooltips, there's one. As you hover over an image or an element on the page, you can have a little pop-up show up to kind of inform your visitor, teach them what the content means, or teach them how to use your application or your website more properly. So, hover over this, I get a little tooltip that says I am Windows, and this one says I am Android. So you get the idea. All right, so those are the different types of elements that you're going to get. Let's pop back over to WordPress and kind of start from the ground up here. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through all 62 elements. That would be absolutely insane. But what I want to do is head over to the dashboard, kind of get you oriented, what we're looking at, what the setup is, and we'll go from there. Now, first thing I need to do is close all of these tabs because each time I clicked on a window, it opened a new tab for me. Okay, so what we've got here is just a demo site that I use for a lot of these types of videos, and I'm running Astra as my theme, and you can see all of the installed plugins that I have. I'm using the Astra Pro add-on for no particular reason here other than I used one of the starter sites that required it. Now I've got Elementor, that's the free version. I do have the Pro version installed here as well, and here is Essential Add-Ons. This is the free plugin, and then we've also got Essential Add-Ons, the Pro plugin. So I don't know if I really covered this, but there is a free version, so if you want to try this out before you buy it, you'll get, I think, like 10 or 12 of the different elements that we looked at a second ago. However, when you download or when you make a purchase from AppSumo, they'll allow you to download the plugin from the manufacturer, and when you install that, it actually installs both plugins without you having to do any additional work. It'll just, they're both required to function. That's kind of my point here. Okay, so once you get this installed, you'll notice a tab shows up over here in your sidebar called Essential Add-Ons. If you click on that, you'll get some general settings where you want to enter your license code. And then here's the fun part. These are the elements. Now I can turn all of the elements off with a single click, which I think is a nice feature. And then they just won't show up inside of my Elementor editor. So if things won't get so crowded and Elementor won't have to load all of those elements each time it starts up. So hypothetically, it should load a little bit faster. And I can, of course, just toggle on the ones that I want to use. So maybe I'll go back and I'll demo some of these for you, and we'll just turn on those right now so we can kind of get a good idea of what we're looking at. Let's see. I wanted to look at that WooCommerce one. So let's go over to dynamic elements right here, and we'll check this WooCommerce product collections. And maybe we'll check out, why don't we do that? Where is the logo carousel? I wanted to do that one as well. All right, I found it here. They put it under creative elements, which is different than it was on their website. That's interesting. We'll turn that on. And maybe one more to look at. How about the pricing tables, just to kind of get an idea of how that works. All right, there we go. So we got 3 elements turned on here. I'll go ahead and save the settings. All right, enough talk. Let's go ahead and start playing with some of these widgets. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new page here, and I'll just click right away on the Edit with Elementor button. And here we go. Here's the new page. What I want to do is actually just minimize these other widgets that we're not looking at right now. And let's really focus on these 3 from the Essential Add-Ons pack. I'll drag and drop this logo creator here, and you can see that right away it starts kind of doing a little carousel movement for me. I can see that there's 5 logos added right now, although they don't give me any logos to begin with. So let's go ahead and add some here. Okay, great. So I've got 5 logos added to my carousel, and I can see it's moving automatically. Now there is a carousel settings option right down here. I can change the effect from a slide to a fade. Now one thing, they kind of all stacked on top of each other here. That's kind of weird. I noticed that, let's go back to slide for a second. It says visible items here 3. That goes away when I choose fade. So I don't know if this one's working correctly. That just doesn't look right. Let's try the cube function here. Okay, so this has some kind of like cube animation that makes it spin. Of course, I can change how fast that happens here. I can have it spinning very quickly or slow it down. Let's try the other style here, cover flow. This is kind of like the Apple. Apple doesn't have this look anymore, I don't think, but it was an older Apple setting. They actually called it cover flow. And then there's flip. And there we go, it kind of has a flipping animation to it. All right, great. So those are the different settings for the carousel effect. I'm gonna go ahead and set it back to slide. I can change the gap between the items. I could say add 4 or even all of the items here. I can turn off the autoplay. I can turn off the arrows. I can turn off the dots. And then I'm just left with kind of a nice, simple lineup of logos there. Okay, so that one's pretty simple and easy to use. Of course, we can also stylize it a little bit here. We could say add a background, maybe a colored background. Let's do this gray color, and maybe I'll add some opacity to that so it looks a little bit nicer. And we could give it a border, let's say like a solid color, maybe a 2-pixel width. And there we go, it's kind of a black color by default, but of course I can choose any color that I want. Let's give it a border radius as well. How about a 50-pixel border radius? You're starting to get the idea of how this works. To kind of typically, if you're familiar with Elementor, you already understand how all this works. But that's fairly simple and quick and easy to use, so I like that. Let's go ahead and add in this pricing table here. Pricing tables are pretty standard. You find them in a lot of Elementor add-on packs, but I think it's a really good way to kind of judge the features since it's something you're probably familiar with seeing already. So here is the pricing table, comes out of the box stylized decently. There is some different preset styles, looks like 4 different styles. These are kind of looking familiar from what we saw on their website. Of course, you can customize all of these colors. You're not stuck with it. Oh, there's a nice little animation there. I like that. Kind of strange that this is dark, but maybe that was set by my theme. So let's go back to the default styling. I think I like that one best for these demonstration purposes. I'm going to duplicate this a few times. You can see, here is how it probably would look. We could, kind of quickly go in there and change it to, some different pricing names. And then let's play with the prices. We'll go down to this tab here and we'll make this one $49 a month, and we'll make this one $79. I've got some options to mark it on sale, so maybe normally it's $89. We actually probably want to reverse these, right? So make the sale price cheaper than the regular price. We'll make that $99 on sale. And we can change the currency direction. So if I was in a country where the currency went on the right-hand side, I'd be able to change that. And maybe this one is, instead of being by the month, we'll do it $79 per week, right? So it's going to be much more expensive. And I can change the features down here. And what's really nice is that you can kind of change the item, whether it's active or not. I like this. So if you turn off the activity, it just puts a line through it. It's nice, and it kind of fades the color too. So nice styling. I can also change the icon color for that particular item if I want. So it's interesting that they're putting some style options over here inside of the content section. Usually with Elementor, all of this will be done in the styling tab. However, it kind of makes sense to me to put it here. You can also add a tooltip and say, this is our most popular option. And then as I scroll over it, right here, it says this is our most popular option. So you can give a little bit more information on each feature. I think that's a really great idea. I like the thoughtfulness there. Okay, so we're in the back end of WordPress again, and I'm in the Essential Add-On Settings section. And let's go ahead and turn on these extensions. So I'm in this third tab over here. We've already covered the general and the elements. And because we probably won't come back here, the Tools section just has a button to clear the cache. So that's probably not something you'll be using quite frequently. But let's go ahead and turn these extensions on, and I will show you how to use them. Let's hit Save Settings. And I'm going to go back to my homepage here. And what I want to do is actually turn on Parallax for this hero section. I think that could look pretty cool. This girl has kind of got her hair blown in the wind. Let's turn on some particles to kind of surround her. So I'm just going to click on this section up here, this blue bar, and here we go. Right away I can see the EA particles show up. I'm going to turn on Enable Particles, and just like that, I've got these cool little snowflakes in the background. I mentioned earlier in this video, you can use your own SVG to create a particle effect. And what you'd actually do here is go under Theme Source, and you wouldn't be using one of their presets. You'd want to paste in the JSON code right here. So that's definitely kind of outside of the scope of this video, but just know that it is possible to go beyond the built-in effects. So let's go ahead and look at this parallax effect here. Make sure this is turned off. Let's turn off the particles. We'll go to Parallax, I'll turn that on, and now as I scroll, you can see that the girl kind of stays put. There is some different options here, so I can do a scroll with fade, so she kind of starts to fade a little bit. You can see it kind of getting a little bit lighter as I scroll. Maybe I'll make this into preview mode here. So you can see that's kind of a nice distressed look. I've never really cared too much for parallax effects, but that one looks pretty good. So the last option for parallax is this multi-layered option, which it gets pretty advanced. So what I can do here is go ahead and start adding some items. I'm going to grab these icons just because they're transparent and I think they'll work pretty well for this. You can see it's kind of floating around here, right? Well, I could add another item. Let's go ahead and we'll add maybe this lock. And now it's floating around as well. And of course I can change the positioning of it so that they're not stacked on top of each other. Elementor is kind of flipping out here, but you get the point. We could start to stack a bunch of stuff and kind of make our own parallax effect or even particles type of effect where it's interacting with the mouse and moving around as I move through the screen. So pretty advanced stuff. This would probably be pretty expensive to have custom coded, or at least take a decent amount of time if you knew how to do it yourself. So that's it for the parallax effects and the particles. Now the only thing we have left to look at is the tooltips, and that's going to be actually applied to the elements in the advanced settings. So you can here we have an EA advanced tooltip, and I can turn this on and it already gives me some text that says I'm a tooltip. When I hover over this, let's go into preview mode here. And when I hover over it, it says I am a tooltip. And we actually saw that feature in the pricing table, how you could have each individual feature in a pricing table have its own tooltip. Well, you can apply a tooltip to any individual element using the advanced tooltip feature that's included with Essential Add-ons. So by now you should have a pretty good understanding of what's possible with Essential Add-ons for Elementor. You're still going to want to head over to their website, poke around the Elements demo, and see that there's enough value for you to invest in this tool. But I gotta admit, I'm in a tough position here. You see, I've been doling out some decently high scores recently, and I really don't want to develop a reputation as a softie or someone who just loves every AppSumo deal. I really don't. However, for $39, I would be kind of negligent to not advise you to at least consider picking this up if you build websites with Elementor or you're considering doing it in the future. There's just too much value packed in here. I mean, you get 60 elements for crying out loud. So I gotta give this a solid 8.8 out of 10. There are a few things that made me knock some points off of this, but it's pretty much a no-brainer if you're doing Elementor development. If you are going to heed my advice and go ahead and pick this deal up, I'd appreciate it if you use the link in the description. That is our referral link, which kicks us back a little bit of money here at the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps fund my LTD addiction so I can make more video reviews like this for you. If you like the video, make sure you hit like so I know you appreciate the content, and leave me a question or comment down below. I promise to respond to each and every one of you. And I'll see you in the next review. 'Cause all I wanna